Welcome to Possibility TV. My name is Ray Vernon, and our guest today is Connor Bowden from Mercado Medic. Connor, won't you join us?
Yes, most certainly. Just booting her up. I said I'm at your height now. How are you, Ray? You okay?
Thanks, I'm good, thank you.
Good, good.
So, what is an ergonomic chair?
Well, the term ergonomic can suit to many different things. Ergonomic keyboards, mouses, but the basis on an ergonomic chair is a chair with the ability to then promote good posture. And by promoting good posture, you're promoting better health, be it in the workplace, be it at home with day-to-day activities. Because you can imagine if you're sitting in a chair that isn't tailored to your posture and your ergonomics as a person, you're then going to get pains in the back, lower back. You can see it, figures off the top of my head, there's over £10 million worth of money lost in days at work via bad backs from sitting in the office 9 to 5, slouching over in the wrong type of chair. So the term ergonomic chair is a chair that would suit to your ergonomics, if you catch my drift. Okay. So then it's promoting better posture for the individual to promote good health.
Is that a way of saying that it's more customized to me, or
it is, but
then
you can have a standard range of ergonomic chairs. Mm-hmm. So the term standard ergonomic is the set posture that a person should be sitting. So that's with the spinal posture and postural management, where you're not slouching over at the top and you're certainly not slouching into the chair. Because when you start to come away from your centre of gravity, pressure is then put onto the base of your bum, into your hips, and even into your lower legs. So you imagine if you're sitting there working an office job 9 to 5, I think we've all been there for a couple of hours, you stand up, you want to stretch out. And it's simply because you're not in the correct posture to be sitting down for that period of time. So with a chair like this, for somebody who is physically impeded or functional disability, they need to remain in the chair. So we need to ensure that their comfort is maximised, but also the risk of any pressure sores, back pains and so forth limited, because they could be spending 6 hours in the chair alone at one time. Okay. So it needs to be a very, very specialised ergonomic chair, but the term ergonomics can fit into many things, not just chairs.
Is the chair known just as ergonomic chair, or are there other terms people use that they may have heard of?
Our chairs alone, it's when people, for example, we've been on various exhibitions and people have seen our chairs, people look at it and go, well, that's a very fancy looking office chair, which on one hand is brilliant, because what we're trying to promote is that somebody with a disability in the workplace, home or educational facilities, they don't want to be in something that screams disability. They want something that's compact. What for reason one? You can get in and out of rooms in that environment. You don't have to have adaptations for that environment. The chair will suit that environment. And also, people looking at you, straight away they could look, they'll take a second look and go, oh, it just looks like a fancy office chair. Not, they need a chair because they're physically enabled to do certain activities. So the terms for our chairs can be seen as specialist disability seating, daily activity chairs, task chairs, working chairs, the list goes on. There's no set trend to these types of chairs because they're modular, they're bespoke to each individual. So the one I'm sitting in now, which is the RAL 6100, it's an indoor powered wheelchair that can be used in the home and offices. A specialist chair for somebody with disability or functional impediment of day-to-day life. Okay,
so I've obviously heard of a wheelchair, which is the term you just used. Mm-hmm. We talk about mobility chair, we talk about ergonomic chair. Yeah. There's obviously scooters. So that sounds really confusing to the general public. So how do you differentiate what you use for what?
I think that's disability as a whole, with certain equipment that's available to that user. It's knowing exactly what they need. And the best practice I can obviously promote is the form of a professional, occupational therapist. They come in, they will do an assessment, they will see that your exact needs. So for example, you have mobility, you can get from room A to room B, but in those rooms, be it standing up for a while cooking, while cleaning, while even sitting down at the table eating, you may have the disadvantage of being able to get out of something with ease. It gives you a lot of pain, or you're just physically unable to do so. So this is where these chairs fit in, and it's hard to determine to say this is a mobility chair. As you just mentioned, mobility in our sense of terms is something that gets you from point A to point B. Tick, these are what these chairs can do in the home and in the workplace. They're not something that you're going to get in, go outside in the rain, go down to the local shops and do your shopping in. That is what a mobility scooter's for. There's actually no true market for what happens in the home with the forms of mobility, getting to and from rooms with a chair like this. So it's quite a hard task to let the public know and the end user know that this type of equipment is available. But the way we try and promote it is through occupational therapists. They would then give us a call saying, look, we've got, say, Ray, for example, he's got this issue, that issue. Can this chair accommodate these issues? We can accommodate most, if not all, functional disability within the home with our chairs, because you can't just take it for face value. You look at it, it's just a chair, but with the adaptations, the accessories, it's so much more.
Okay, well, you mentioned occupational therapists a couple of times. So if someone is, say, they had an accident and they're leaving hospital, is the very next process normally to send them home, or they go see an occupational therapist first? Do they know that this is what they need to do? Is it something that's
it depends on the treatment that they've been given. I can't comment on the way occupational therapists work. I just know from when they get in touch with us in regards to a patient or client, whichever way you want to call it, they then specify their needs to see whether our chairs can tailor those exact needs. And that's where we step in. It totally depends on the local councils, the way they operate with somebody coming out of hospital and then the aftercare treatment they have.
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you get called into scenarios, for example, to do an assessment where somebody hasn't seen an occupational therapist?
People who, for example, there's individuals that we've seen with MS, and they've had MS for so many years, and they have seen occupational therapists, but nothing has ever developed. They've got the walking frames, they've got the walking sticks, the stair lifts, but the point where our chairs step into, it's not really identified. And people upon themselves get to the powers of certain search engines and things like that, will look for any equipment that would benefit them, because they know best of what they need something to do. You know, for example, say if I'm up and out of my chair, I've got my stair lift, I've got my walking frame, I get to the kitchen, but then I've got nothing to actually stand and prepare the vegetables with. Or I'm preparing the vegetables, I've got my pan, I need to get them now over to my hob. And there's something in between that's missing. Because then they've got a pan, they've got a walking stick, they've got a walking frame, but you try the task of holding a big pan of vegetables with a walking frame. It's a very, very difficult task. Whereas the state of a chair, this type of chair, for example, you can stay seated, you've got your controller with all the buttons, you can rest, you can have table trays, you can rest pieces of equipment on these table trays and get them to the hob. You rise up, you tilt over the hob, you are then cooking above your hob with that bit of equipment in to attain that task. So an occupational therapist will see that issue, but it's to them as well knowing the type of equipment that's available, whereas in the market today, it is we've got a walk-in frame, we've got this. People are using office stools in the kitchen simply because they've got wheels on, they can sit in them, they can go from side to side. But the individual tasks is where the problem lies, because that chair is not tailored for those tasks, all tailored to the person.
Is there a danger of those stools, for example,
I've been on
many
occasions. I've done assessments with people, and as you can appreciate, funding process from councils for occupational therapists to get that equipment in, there's quite a delay. And in that delay time, I have heard of many falls simply because the chair that they use, like all of our chairs, they're CE certified medical devices, so they're safe and secure. They're to the highest quality standards. So even with our manual chairs, we've got a braking system. So when that braking system is applied, you're using that chair to get in and out of, to move around in. That chair is not going to slip from underneath you. A standard office chair with office casters doesn't have those functionalities. And people have used an office chair and slipped because the casters aren't, but they've got no brakes.
I can imagine that.
And they've slipped and they've hit. And with some of these people, carers, they come in at set times of the day. We've had one gentleman speaking to him, he was on the floor for nearly 4 hours until the next call by using this chair.
Okay. Well, so I saw you move the chair up just now, which talking to people who themselves you have to use a wheelchair a lot. One of the things they have to do is adjust their environment to fit the fact that they're now much lower. But does this negate the need to be able to do that when you can lift up? I mean, if somebody's got a refrigerator, a standard refrigerator, where the freezer's usually at the top and they need to go in, or the cupboards up here, how high does the chair allow you to go? I'm
glad you said about environments, because it's like you've got both ends of the spectrum. You've got the chair that needs to fit into your desks, to your dinner table, to eat, to do the general activities at a standard height.
Right.
But then you just mentioned, getting into the top of the fridge, into the top of the cupboards. This chair covers that whole spectrum. And the reason for that is we don't want to have people to, the amount of money that it costs to refit a kitchen, to have certain things at a lower height, but it's always just things lower to make it more an achievable task to be over the counter.
Right.
Whereas with these chairs, as I've just hired up then, I can go more. So as you increase, you're still safe. Automatic parking brake. Wow. So even with the chair, I'm leaning over the edge and I'm picking something up. And that's the next step. Arm rests. We're all aware of arm rests. These aren't arm rests. It's a CE certified medical device. They're arm supports. So actually, I don't know how this is going to look, but my full weight, which is around 90 kilos, can be placed on the armrests because it needs to be able to support.
Right.
And then
the chair didn't move, I noticed.
The chair doesn't move. It's within its own footprint. So you are then reaching above your fridge into a top cupboard, say where your pans are to cook with, various cupboards to, I don't know, his sons, daughters, grandsons. You've got people coming round. You can actually then go, oh, I'm cooking. Because you can reach those things, you can do those things, and then you can return to a normal level and cook above the stove. So you regain that independence. You're not constantly having people to come in and reach this for me, do this for me, because you are physically unable to. Okay. One piece of equipment with a rail chair replaces up to 7 in the home for disability.
Obviously, different homes have different furnitures in terms of doorway that are maybe different sizes, especially some of the older properties. What about getting in and out of those doors from room to room? 570
millimetres wide, this is. Any standard UK door frame, I don't know the exact size, but any home that I've been in over the past few months, we've never had an issue going through door frames.
Okay.
Ever. Even with, say for example, you need to get through a doorway, there's a unit there, so you then need to kind of angle the chair. We adapt certain things to then create everything within the footprint of the chair.
That's clever.
So then you're not with it. And it's the same for, say, desks. If I wanted to get up over to that desk now, be it at height, foot plate, yeah, brilliant, I can keep that. Or if not, you can even fold it in. I've got this chair simply because I can do that. Mm-hmm. Somebody who doesn't have the strength in the legs to fold the foot plate in, we have a little handle that you can pull that detracts the foot plate. So we try and cover every eventuality with somebody using this chair. And then if I need to get up to my desk now, which I can see I'm a little bit too high because of my legs, simple press of a button, I'm down. Then as you can see already, imagine if this was a straight edge desk. If I take it back into drive mode, if I go forward, that's a straight edge this is hitting. This is why we have that system. Simply just to keep everything out the way so then you're at your working space safely. Okay. So the biggest advantage of these chairs, I would say personally, is the ability to place it into most environments within the UK, within Europe, within the globe, within homes, workspaces, because the added cost of changing a kitchen, the added cost of widening doorways and ramp, things like that, they cost a lot of money. Yeah. So one piece of equipment that could tailor for all those eventualities that's what we're aiming for. We want to make people's lives easier, not more difficult.
Well, what about the practical use of somebody who's lying in bed at night? Mm-hmm. They need to, their mobility is impacted.
Yep.
They need to get out of bed, go to the loo in the middle of the night,
yep.
then come back, then get back into bed again,
yep.
assuming that there's no one there to assist them, or they don't want to assist them, yep. because they want that independence. Does that chair allow for that in terms of ease of getting out of bed safely and then getting back to the loo, going lower, coming back?
It is within reason. So right. with, say, somebody who can get to the edge of their bed and sit up on, if you can sit up on the edge of your bed, you are getting in and out of this chair safely from bed.
Okay.
So for example, imagine this table is my bed. Automatic parking brake. So say for the example of this, comes to a night time, you've took the chair into your bedroom, mm-hmm. you've plugged her in next to your bed on charge. She's on charge, she's by your bed. Our armrests detract down. You've then got a solid transfer chair. So you imagine my bed is now there. I've put this up parallel to my bed. Mm-hmm. It is simply just a bit of a bum shuffle over to the bed, and you're in bed. And it's the same with getting out of bed. You then sit up, and then you shuffle back onto the chair. And then put your armrest back up, little twist of that's locked in, and you're good to go. Okay. So it's a transfer chair, and it's the same reason for the toilet as well. You can get, I've got these into disabled cubicles in office spaces to show the practicality that, you know, you're then not going to have to get out of the chair to manoeuvre around. You can actually get into the toilet, and as with disabled toilets with the armrests that come down next to the toilet, you then simply just take the chair as close as possible, drop the armrest, so it's a transfer. You've then got the armrest in the toilet to then simply hold on to, turn around, sit on the toilet, and same back again.
In terms of the people that use the chairs, does it go from children to adult, from, you know?
Pediatric all the way up to adult, and we also have bariatric seating as well. So with forms of obesity, and there's no room, people still want to work. You know, they have certain conditions that would actually bring on obesity. What about them?
Yeah.
You know, and that's where we tailor for those as well. It's the ability of having a much wider seat that, yet again, is ergonomic, depending on the terminology you use. So their posture is in an optimal position for good health, and they're still able to do things. And it's still the ability to rise up, to reach hard to reach places with the brake. So we try and cover everything, and with feedback from the end user and occupational therapists, that's how we have been built as a company.
What about somebody who is paraplegic or quadriplegic?
We also have leg supports as well, side supports, the accessories. If we had another 2 days to talk about accessories, we still won't get through them all. But going through the process, you can see the thinking behind something, and you can see the condition that person's been affected with, and then straight away you go, actually, yeah, we've got an accessory for that. Be it different controller types, so people can use their eyes, they can use the blow straws to move the chair, things like that. So we can
adapt that.
We adapt everything. Yeah, modular system, and this is the biggest, well, not the biggest, but an advantage. So, say for example, I'm mid-20s, you've got a condition. Doctors are saying it's going to deteriorate as you get older. So with these chairs, as you then deteriorate through your condition, that same chair can then still be adapted to meet that condition.
Okay, so you don't have to buy a base chair again?
No, no. We then come in and we would adapt that chair to suit your needs. We're not wanting to sell a chair every 2 years to people. Right. We want a chair to accommodate them for as long as possible and safely as possible. If we come in and the condition has changed and it's something that physically needs to be changed within the chair that isn't the modular aspect, then yeah, we would suggest changing the chair based on a safety reason, not the actual condition itself, you know. Okay. So
how long can somebody, I mean, when you stay with a chair or a bed, there's bed sores, there's certain pain from being in the same position all the time.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that when somebody's in a chair who they're relying on while in the house for that long? How do you deal with that? What do you do to alleviate that? So
with our seating system, it's patented, we call it in Sweden, Mercado Medic Plus.
Mercado Medic.
Yeah, Mercado Medic. It's almost in the difference as ergonomic, but it's Mercado Medic Plus seating system, and it's a design contouring system. It's standard foam. It doesn't have to be memory foam to make it, pressure relieving all day. It's just designed to separate the pressure. So, for example, myself, I'm sitting in our Mercado Medic Plus seat, and the pressure then comes down to the base of my bum, but then is spread out across the entirety of my legs and my bum. So there's not that single load of pressure at the 2 points of contact on the chair. It is the entirety of my legs, my bum, my hips, my back. So you're covering a bigger area of pressure. So it's not just
concentrated in a certain area.
Exactly. It's not being concentrated directly down to the base of the spine, the bum, the upper back. It's spread out. And the use of hours, it depends. We've had people sit in them all day, 8 to 9 hours, no pressure sores. I'm not saying you could sit in this for a week and not get any, but as you can imagine, that's going to happen anyway. But with the system itself, it is for daily use. Well, probably up to 10 hours. You can still be remaining in the seat with limited risks of pressure sores, pains, things like that.
Okay. So let's say somebody's decided, they've made the phone call, you've gone out and done the assessment, they've decided, yeah, I really want one of these. So they've ordered the product.
Yeah.
On average, how long does it take to get one?
Manufactured in Sweden.
Okay.
4 to 6 weeks is the manufacturing period with delivery. So from order point, 4 to 6 weeks. We say 4 to 6 weeks because you never know with the shipping times and things like that, but very often they turn up a lot quicker.
Products arrived. Now what? What about assembling it, all that kind of stuff?
From ourselves, we will actually come out and we will set up the chair. So that's when we come in and we ensure that your posture is right to use that chair.
Okay.
through various resellers. They have the same process. They would want to go out to ensure that that chair is set up perfectly for that individual.
So are they bringing the chair, or the chair arriving first and then they're coming out?
So the chair will, it depends, ourselves, the chair gets sent to our office in the UK. And we then bring the chair to you.
Oh, okay.
With resellers, it will be the same. They get the chair sent to their dealership, and then they will bring out and do the setup. Some of them, they will send the chair direct to the customer, and then once that chair's turned up, they will book in an assembly. So then they go out and assemble the chair for them while they're in their own home.
Okay.
So
hopefully that's based on what's best for the customer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's down to user preference.
I've got my chair. You've come out. You've set it up for me. I'm all good to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's been set up for me perfectly, and I'm doing all the things I want to do all the time. What about the warranty on the chair?
I think I said to you earlier, it depends how long you want on the metalwork. Swedish made, the steel is Swedish steel. It is that there's no impurities to the smallest fraction of that steel. We have chairs that have been going for 15 years metalwork. So with the warranty, we would say roughly, how long do you want with the metalwork? But with electricals, standard 1 year warranty. So within that 1 year, say for example, I don't know, the batteries went, we would get you new batteries. We would just go out and we would fit them for you as well. Because it's about being accessible. You can imagine, I've had this chair and I'm really benefiting from it, and then one day the batteries die. And with the batteries, you obviously want to keep them charged. They then may be defective. You're stuck in the middle of your kitchen, So if we then get a call, we will ensure that you're back on your feet as quick as possible, because that's what it's about. We don't want to leave anybody in the dark in the middle of a room not being able to move. They've had this chair to promote that. So we need to act quickly. So anything
it's
like
really
that.
quick that
Yes,
gets resolved.
Yes, most definitely.
Guarantee's good. Everything looks really fantastic in terms of that. They have any problems, they end up calling you guys or a reseller to come out and solve those kind of problems.
Yeah.
Now they want to go on holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have a staycation because the weather's been so fantastic here.
Yeah.
What about getting the chair in and out of a vehicle?
They are not crash tested. They are not built to be outside and any forms of transport. With the chair, there is the ability to put it in the back of the car. With how the frame works, if you've got a hoist system, you can hoist this up and transport it. But if any damage has taken place in that process, it is not covered via warranty, because they are not crash tested. They are not forms of A to B outside, but also in the back of a car. You've got to ensure that when we deliver them, they're on a crate, they're locked in at a certain position, they're padded, so everything is protected. But even still, if there was a crash, this would be damaged because they're not crash tested. So
it goes for the home. If it's in the home, need to go on holiday.
Yep.
They want to get that. I don't reckon most people would want to buy two.
No, of course not. No,
so
definitely.
if they want to get that into the vehicle, you said it's not crash tested. It's not designed for outside use. How did they get it into the vehicle?
It's not designed for outside use.
Yes.
But it can be used outside. So these, it's very hard. It's just down to standards, isn't it? And, well, I don't know what the term would be for it, but people use these in universities. And you can imagine a university campus, from one building to the next, they have to go outside.
Yes.
They are more than happy to use them outside. But what we're trying to say is that we can't promote that because they are not crash tested if they're next to a road. But in forms of getting it into a vehicle, it is not a problem, because we transport them in vehicles, in vans. So, for example, I think with the idea of somebody has a hoist in the back of their car, be it they used mobility scooters, so they could have a hoist in there. You pop the backrest off, you would then attach to the base frame internal underneath the seat, and that will take the weight. You can then lift the chair up, place it in, pack it properly, and get to your next destination, be it on holiday, so you can use the chair on holiday within the UK. But like I said, if anything happens to the chair based on moving it in that sense, it's not covered via warranty, because they are not built to be shipped here, there and everywhere. They're built to stay in an environment and be used in that environment.
So you can do it, but it's at your own risk.
Yes, of course, yeah.
In terms of pricing, what price ranges are people looking at? I know it's modular, so there's a lot of things that come with it.
Yeah, of course. So I think, for example, this type of range, you're looking at a retail of around £7,500. It can start off as little as 6,400. It completely depends on what you put into the chair.
Right.
So depending on your needs, whether you need these type of armrests, this type of seating, the lift function, the tilt, the brake, the different types of braking system, because we can have electrical braking systems, things can be remote controlled, and so the prices do vary. So from a base range from this, you're looking around £6,800, £6,500, depending on the size as well. It's obviously more materials and things like that. So
is that because it's powered?
yes.
Okay.
Manual chair retailing from, I think it's around £900.
Or £900 for a manual one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so obviously the manual one can be built up in terms of...
Yes, of course, yeah. So this is where it gets a bit confusing as well. You can have a manual electric chair. The term manual is that the casters, they're easy rolling casters, so it looks more like an office chair. As you look at this looks like a wheelchair.
Yes.
Because it has, it's mid-wheel drive, it's got 6 wheels, big power pack on the back, so not big, but power pack on the back. So you can tell that, actually this is a powered wheelchair. Manual means you can move about with your feet, because with the tilt and space function, you can actually get yourself into a position where your weight is slightly transferred through your legs, which actually makes it a lot easier to walk around in the chair. The base frame is designed to ensure that you have the floor space to move your legs in. And using furniture to get in and around the house. But you can have electrical actuators on it, electrical tilt, electrical rise, electrical brake, electrical backrest.
So they're all options that you can.
Yes, they are. Yes, yeah.
I'm going to ask you this because I know somebody who's had personal experience with this. So they're a double amputee, and the problem with their chair was balance.
Yes.
Right? So they were given a wheelchair, but because they didn't have the weight of the legs on the front, it kept. It's almost like it's going to fall backwards.
Yeah.
How do you counterbalance that in your chair?
With the chair, with the power pack towards the base, the weight is spread evenly. The centre of gravity is straight through the middle of the chair, down the stem. So you imagine if then, I wouldn't do it, but if I could sit up with my legs crossed in the seat, the way it's balanced and being on because it's got pistons on the front as a form of a suspension, and a fixed base. Rear wheels. Okay. The chair won't be rocking because you're in the centre point of the chair anyway. So even with the added legs, you can see it takes the pressure in the seat, but the centre of gravity is still the same through the chair because of the weight. Does
the chair come with that built in, or do you look at you assess somebody who is an amputee or a double amputee, for example, and say, well, you need it to be done this way, or does it automatically come that way?
That comes as a standard.
It is.
That's the way it's designed. Yeah. The adaptations for, say, a W amputee or single amputee is a certain type of leg support. So say if you had a above the knee amputation, you then you'd benefit from having a deeper seat. So then that leg is then rested, but then you've got the coccyx paddles as well that you can adjust to support that amputated leg, but then still have the freedom and mobility of your left leg. But then if you say you're a double amputee below the knee, we have amputation supports that can be electronically controlled, adapted. So the opportunities, well, the accessories are quite broad, they're quite vast. It's hard to.
What you can do.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons why you recommend an assessment, of course.
Yes, of
course.
The
average person wouldn't know all the features and functions they need.
That's it. Yeah.
So you need to match that up.
That's it. Yeah.
One more question: in terms of charging up the unit, how long the battery lasts when you do that?
Full day's use out of the battery. I mean, this, for example, we're still on full battery, and this hasn't been charged in some days because of transport, and I'm further out doing assessments with it. But while it's in the home, we try and get people into the habit of, we have our own chargers that are, they're safe. So you can plug the chair in throughout the night and have it charging for 8 hours. It would never overcharge, it would never almost kill the batteries, and there wouldn't be any risk of, fuses blowing and fires and things like that. So we always say full use out of the chair in the day, and just always put it on charge every night, because it's a good habit to get into to keep the charge true in the batteries. Because you imagine I've used one for a week on one charge. Obviously, I might not be using it as much as somebody within the home. And after a week's usage, if I haven't then charged that up, it can actually damage the cells in the battery. So we always try and promote good habit of use, charge throughout the night, use, charge throughout the night. So you'll never have to worry about, I'm running a bit low on battery here. So it's always best to keep the batteries full.
Maybe just a little bit of information on Mercado Medic.
So Mercado Medic was founded in Sweden in 1971. A group of occupational therapists, healthcare professionals, they come together, and it was the rise in the need of disability in the workplace as well, because you can imagine, you know, people who are disabled, they want to be working. So we were founded, and we then looked into what types of equipment we could make to help better those people's lives and in the home, because we spoke about the mobility scooters from A to B, but we don't really look inside people's homes as such, apart from the walking sticks, the slings, the hoist supports and things like that. So that's when it was founded, and we've got various offices throughout the world, throughout the globe.
You're a global company.
We are, yes, yeah. Okay. And we ship anywhere. Yeah. We take it anywhere in the world, and as a progression, we're looking to have more manufacturing hubs within time, of course. Yeah. But we just want to try and become a brand that is there to inform people of these types of equipment to help better people's lives. Because we've been into people, it's actually quite a sad story at times when they've been struggling for years. They've not known certain pieces of equipment are out there to better their daily living, and it's quite, it certainly touches me to see these people, and then they see the chair, and I've had people nearly crying because they didn't think they would be able to bake again. There was a lady who loved baking for her grandchildren, and as her condition got worse, she wasn't able to do it, and we showed her the benefits of actually, look, you still can do it. Bearing in mind it might not be as quick as you used to, because you're obviously using a piece of equipment, but you can still do it. And she, you know, that was it for her, because she could still have that was hers to cherish.
Well, life-changing, I would imagine.
It is, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we take certain things for granted, don't we? As, you know, until you've lost something, it's like, oh, well, I didn't realise I needed that. And this is what these people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and they're not getting access. There is the equipment there, but it's knowing how to access this equipment and knowing that this is what this equipment does for
Fantastic.
them. So it's, but we're happy, you know, we're trying our best.
Excellent. So, well, Conor, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Please join us next time on Possibility TV. Thank you for watching. Please follow us and visit our channel to see our other videos. If you have any ideas or feedback as to what we can bring to you, please send us an email at POSS, P-O-S-S, at mysoconi, M-Y-S-O-K-O-N-I.co.uk. See you soon.